VR is packed with hidden gems, games that just deserve a little bit more love, and maybe they even got the love when they first came out, but they've just been forgotten over time. So today we're going to be diving into 10 of the best VR titles across Quest, PCVR and PSVR 2 that you might have missed. Now, I made one of these videos a few weeks ago, and by popular demand you guys asked me to make another, so here I am with another 10 hidden gems for you guys and gals. Not only that though, but I have a lot more in the bank that I'd love to share with you guys. If you want to see another one of these hidden gem videos, again, show your support and love for this video by smashing that like button, subscribing if you are new, and then I can continue to make more and more of these hidden gem videos, just talking about the games that don't get spoken about every single day. Now, other than that, let's dive into our very first game on this list, and that is Lies Beneath. Probably one of my all-time favorite horror games, and I'm not even a horror game fan, so that says a lot when it comes to the style of this game. Lies Beneath is a horror game that feels like you're stepping directly into a graphic novel, if that novel wanted you dead, that is. With a unique art style and a terrifying atmosphere, it's a psychological horror ride that keeps you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. Well, or the edge of your feet, depending whether you play seated or standard, I guess. If you love games like Resident Evil in VR, then this is definitely going to be a must play for you. This game just has such an interesting and unique aesthetic throughout the entire thing of this, and not only that, but the way that it plays out, oh my god, it really is actually terrifying at parts. And not only that, it's just kind of got some weird elements that really unite this together as, like I say, being one of my personal top favourite horror games. Next up, we have a game that didn't come out that long ago, but strangely enough didn't seem to get the love it really deserved, and that is Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue. Now, of course, you probably know what Hello Neighbor is by this point. It's probably one of the most viral sort of games that existed for a long time, and that's because it just sort of encapsulated a lot of people's curiosities, and on top of that, it was flat and accessible to everyone. But did you know there's also a VR version of this game? Breaking into the creepy neighbor's house feels even more intense when you're actually in VR and in there doing it. Sneaking around and avoiding traps to uncover the mystery has never been more immersive, or, well, terrifying if you get caught. And trust me, I screamed like a little girl a few times when I got caught. Now, this also has a other baked in story where you're going to be working alongside some other children to be able to break into this house, and of course, you know, the story continues. I don't want to ruin anything here, so definitely one you want to check out. If you're a fan of the Hello Neighbor franchise, this is an absolute no-brainer and available to pretty much all platforms, so definitely put this on your list to check out. Like I say, it came out a while ago, but it just seems to have flown right under the radars of a lot of people ever since. Next up, we have Ancient Dungeon, and again, this is one of those freaking awesome games. It's made by, like, I believe, an incredibly small team, and also one that gets updated fairly frequently. So if you're interested in something that just, like, you know, gets frequent updates, this again is going to be one of those games. Ancient Dungeons is basically Minecraft meets roguelike dungeon crawler, with its procedurally generated levels, satisfying melee and ranged combat, and loads of secrets to uncover. This game is perfect if you want an addictive, endless adventure. You can go in there, and that loop is just going to continue to go and go, so that you get to lock in and really just unlock a ton of unique items each and every time you go in there. It's got that just one more feel to it that keeps you coming back to it. Not only that, but they've also recently just dropped a multiplayer update for this as well, so now you can go in and do these dungeons with your friends, which really adds something to this game. Already I love being inside of this world. It just feels so sort of cool and immersive, and it's like stepping into basically like an old Sega game or something, you know. It just feels friggin' awesome to be inside of, so definitely one to check out if you like your dungeon crawlers or your roguelites. This one's going to sort of really feed both of those types of genres. Next up, we have Accounting Plus. Now, this is a hilarious game that again went mega viral for a little while, but then seemed to just teeter off and people just don't really speak about it anymore. Now, like, virality's gone to it. It's kind of one of those games that just kind of floats under people's radar, or they see videos of and they don't actually know what the game is. If you've ever wanted a game that feels like an absolute freaking fever dream, well, Accounting Plus is exactly that. From the minds behind Rick and Morty, well, you know, we don't really speak of them anymore, but the original minds behind Rick and Morty, this game is absolute pure chaos. It's weird, hilarious, and full of surprises that make you really just question what the hell is going on for most of your journey through this, but it is one of those more unique VR experiences out there that really you need to do. It's got such a wicked sense of humor throughout the entirety of this, and a bunch of characters and voices you're probably going to recognize from, you know, Rick and Morty and other things. There's just a ton of fun Easter eggs inside of this as well that are going to keep you going for a really long time. It's got a ton of replayability to it as well. In fact, I encourage you to replay this after you play through it once, because you'll even see different events and different things that will happen. Next up, we have Killer Frequency. Again, another fantastic game that I just don't see anyone speak about anymore. It's never on anyone's list. It's never anyone's talking about this game. Killer Frequency puts you in the shoes of a late night radio DJ, but there's a catch. You are guiding people through a slasher movie style night, making life or death decisions while trying to keep the tunes going. It's a mixture of horror, comedy and puzzle solving, and it really makes a surprisingly good gripping experience. Now you're going to be inside of this radio station while this is all going on, getting these phone calls coming in while you're trying to solve, people not getting murked off, and of course the slasher not eventually coming for you. Or will they? I guess you'll find out as you play through this, and it's one I highly recommend. It's a really fun experience, especially if you are like new to VR. It's fairly comfortable inside of this game as well. Next up, we have a game that every single one of you seem to scream at me in the comments, and this is Into Black. Now this is again one of those games that didn't come out that long ago, but yet still just seemed to drop under people's radar incredibly quickly, and I don't think it should, because this is a freaking fantastic game. Now this is either a solo game, or you can go in there as PvPvE, or even just go in there with a few friends and crack on with the story. There's so much to this game to keep you entertained throughout it. It's freaking fantastic. In this is like a space adventure, I guess we could call it a space adventure, where you're going to go up mining rocks. It's got all of these sort of like different elements going on to it, where you're going to be fighting different creatures, mining, and well, trying to survive. It's freaking awesome. Check this one out. It's also coming to PSVR 2 soon, I believe. They finally announced that that's going to be happening. So if you're a PSVR 2 user, keep an eye out for this. It's going to be coming to you pretty damn soon. Next up, we have another horror game, and that is Cosmodread. Now this game is again one of those fantastic games that had its sort of heyday, but again just flies right under people's radars right now. If you're into sci-fi horror, Cosmodread is an absolute friggin' gem. It's like Alien Isolation meets Dread Halls, and if you're not familiar with Dread Halls, well, it's a terrifying game as well. Go look that up after this. Where you're going to be exploring creepy abandoned spaceship filled with unspeakable horrors, and I really do mean unspeakable horrors, with a strange survival element, with a deep sense of dread. It's one of those really intense horror VR games that kind of keeps you coming back for more. I don't know why you keep wanting to feed the beast, but man alive, this game just makes you want to do that sort of one more attitude towards it the entire freaking time, because every time you die you're like, I know what I need to do. I'm going to get back in there, and at least you have like that in your roster of things to get in there. Of course, this is procedural as well, so it's never really going to be the same exact experience each time you go in there, but it keeps you on your toes, and like I said, it's just that one more attitude towards this game the whole time. Next up, we have A Fisherman's Tale. Now, there's actually a part 1 and 2 to this game, so I highly recommend you check out both if you enjoy the first one, but I feel like this again had its heyday, but now it doesn't really get spoken about often enough, and when the second game came out, I felt like it was a bit of a flop. It just really didn't go anywhere, and I think that's because people just didn't know that the first one was out there, so they didn't have that connection towards the game. A Fisherman's Tale is a VR puzzle game that lets you play with perspective and reality. You control this puppy inside the world that mirrors itself, creating some of the most unique and creative puzzles in VR. It's short but absolutely unforgettable. This really blew my mind the first time I played it, because I'd never really experienced anything quite like the way that this game makes you feel, / the mind-bending reality and puzzles that you're going to be doing throughout this. It's an absolute must play, and again, like I say, this leads right into the second game, so there's 2 games for you there that are freaking dope that you can get into and enjoy. Next up, we have The Seventh Guest. Now, this is actually a really old game that they then remade and brought into virtual reality, using the same sort of techniques that they used all the way back then, and I've been fortunate enough to actually meet the cast behind this game as well as the developers, and it's a freaking cool concept and a really well executed game. For the classic horror fans, The Seventh Guest is a must. It's a remake of the cult classic, like I was just saying, but this is really built for the ground up for VR. It has a creepy atmosphere, great puzzles, and a haunted mansion that makes it one of the best remakes I think I've ever seen inside of virtual reality. This is a top-notch experience, and again, if you like just a little tiny touch of horror, nothing too scary, but a real element of sort of exploration and puzzle solving, then this is just the one for you. And last but not least, we're going to leave this on a huge banger, and this is for you PCVR players out there. Star Wars Squadrons, a game I bloody never see get spoken about, and yet it's probably one of the best Star Wars experiences experiences you can actually have if you want to embody what it's like to pilot any of the spacecrafts within the Star Wars universe. If you've ever wanted to pilot a friggin' X-Wing or a TIE fighter, well then Star Wars Squadrons is the ultimate dream come true. It's literally stunning to be inside the cockpits of these ships, and man, you really feel like you're in control of this. You're going to be dogfighting through space in an intense, immersive freaking experience. If you have a HOTAS set up, then this can be elevated even higher, but even if you don't, it's still freaking incredible. Seriously, this is one of the best VR flight experiences out there. Not only that, but like I say, it really feels like you're inside of the Star Wars universe while you're doing this. You're going to be flying around ships, going around some of the bloody giant experiences that you can have inside of the Star Wars universe, and not only that, but of course it has a campaign as well as an online mode as well, so ton to be freaking doing in this game. It's one of those ones, again, that just, I don't know why this hasn't been brought out for PSVR 2 or something yet. It feels like it would fit right into the ecosystem, but nonetheless, they haven't, and you can still go play this right now on PCVR. Now that is going to do it for this video. Man, I really enjoy putting together these hidden gem videos because honestly it reminds me sometimes just how many dope games we actually have in virtual reality, and just how many games that, again, we don't hear about often enough. So if you want to see another one of these, like I said at the beginning, smash that like button, subscribe if you are new, let me know some of your hidden gems down below. I've put a bunch that you guys suggested into this video today because, well, you guys suggested some freaking awesome games. So thank you so much for your suggestions last time. Get them in again. Other than that, I will catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.